My name is Ruth Cook, and I am the board chair for the Vera Bradley Foundation for Breast Cancer Board. We are so grateful that you're here with us today. To the media, we are really grateful that you help us share our message of hope. We're grateful for all of our generous donors, and I see many of you here, for our amazing volunteers who make this happen. I'd want to also give a huge shout out to the community of Fort Wayne. Wow. I think we're going to put Fort Wayne on the map globally if we haven't already done so. And I like to think of our community as the little engine that could. Barb, who will speak to you in a few minutes, definitely had this vision and knew that this could happen 28 years ago. But I think she's a believer that you can manifest something to happen, and then it will. But I think Fort Wayne has proven over and over and over again that we're a much bigger, we've got a huge heart, and we are the little engine that could. We have some really special VIP guests with us today, including several members of our research team from the IU School of Medicine. You'll meet several of them in a few minutes. And we have a special breast cancer survivor with us today, and she's going to share her story shortly. And then we have Barbara Bradley Backgard, who's the co-founder of both Vera Bradley and of the Vera Bradley Foundation. And so thank you all for being here. Before you hear from Barb, I'm excited to share with you that the foundation has grown even in the midst of a pandemic. And so we had to pivot a little bit when all of our annual fundraising events were canceled. And I'm really excited to share with all of you that springing out of Fort Wayne, we are now getting donations from all 50 states, from Puerto Rico, the District of Columbia, and 6 other countries around the world. We have donations coming in through some online initiatives. And that's really, really exciting to us as we look to growth for the future. Our story is not something passive. It's not something that has just we've collected donations from really generous sponsors and some companies like Vera Bradley. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Rob Wallstrom, who's here today as the CEO of Vera Bradley. They are our largest supporter financially and in many, many other ways. So thank you, Rob. But just the word donation just it felt too passive to me. And so I'm really proud to share with all of you that to date, we have provided $37.5 million of impact to breast cancer research. And that research that has already taken place with our team of researchers has already made a great impact in the lives of women and their families and their loved ones all over the globe. And so, having completed our most recent pledge, we're now ready to announce the really exciting new chapter in our story. So this is the reason we've invited you here today. The next chapter in our story is a brand new pledge of $12.5 million. We're hopeful that with this new pledge, a diagnosis of breast cancer will become an inconvenience instead of a life-changing and overwhelming presence in the lives of women and their families. And I love the simple way that there's so much humanity in our team of researchers, but I love the way that many years ago they described what their vision was for breast cancer. We used to say the turn of the last century, but we're in a whole brand new century now. But at the turn of the 2 centuries ago, if you had a diagnosis of diabetes, that was a fatal diagnosis within 1 year. and there was no cure for it. Today, it's not that people don't struggle with diabetes, it's still a presence in people's lives, but it's a very manageable disease. And so as our researchers talk to us and as we understand as much as we can their brilliant minds and how they work, that's the goal, to make breast cancer a very manageable disease, just like diabetes was. This pledge, now that we're making this brand new pledge of $12.5 million, will bring the total amount the foundation will provide for breast cancer research to $50 million. And because there should always be clapping or music playing when Barbara Backgard enters a room, this is a perfect time now for me to introduce Barbara Backgard.
Okay, I have to bring this to another level because I'm standing there thinking of the very first pledge that we made to IU. You know the story, Mary. So they came up from IU and asked Pat Miller and me if we would endow a chair. And we said, well, how much is that? Well, that's $1 million too. So I immediately said, sure, we will. As we left the room, Pat said, how are we going to raise $1 million? I said, well, what are they going to do, throw us in jail if we don't meet the pledge? So that was the very beginning. I remember the first classic when the steering committee, I don't think you were on the first steering committee, but they said, let's try to raise $25,000. And I said, no. That's not going to work. So I don't know. I have a reputation of aiming high. Sometimes I don't always hit it. But doggone it, this time we did. Our association, our friendship, our love of IU, just, I can't even explain it. It's way beyond what we do philanthropic. It's a true love story. And with that, using the word love, I'm going to introduce Jay Hess because I do love that man. Get up. And he is, of course, the dean of IU Medical School. And he's been...
Barbara, it's no longer a secret that we're very fond of each other.
Well, once I found out you really, truly have the other side of your brain. You know what I mean?
Yes, parents were artists, so.
Yeah, definitely.
No, and my mom had breast cancer too. So I am so happy to be here, and particularly in this wonderful location. What could be more appropriate to thank all of you for this remarkable gift? I mean, $12.5 million is a lot of money for us, but $50 million is incredible. And so on behalf of all of us in the IU School of Medicine, but especially, and some of our researchers are here, especially our researchers, I really want to thank you. But it's not just the money, it's the inspiration. When you come and visit us in the School of Medicine, we're all energized and kind of work double hard after that. So whatever thanks I can offer, though, pale in comparison to really what you're doing for women with breast cancer, the way you're improving and extending lives and curing people in some cases, and that's all because of you. It's hard to describe the impact that your work has, but I'll try to do it briefly. There's some important scientific advances that we're making. For example, we're identifying genetic factors that help us predict what women are at risk of developing breast cancer. The best way to cure cancer is to prevent it at the beginning. But we've also discovered some key genes that are involved in predicting what drugs a patient might respond to. In a moment, you'll have an opportunity to meet Jenny Brown and hear her story. Your work has made a huge difference in people's lives. And we've identified markers for who's most likely to relapse. So it's, chemotherapy is not the most pleasant thing, and if you don't need to take it, these genetic indicators can indicate which women need more care or not. So So what's next? You know, we've done monogram medicine, we've tailored therapies for women with breast cancer, and so this is a really exciting next step for us, which is something that we have been planning and recruiting for and building a team for a long time, and that is to mobilize the body's own immune system to attack the cancers and all. So that, together with the monogram medicine program, is going to be, we think, a winning combination. And you know, whatever thanks that I can offer, really, you know, it's the women who continue to be able to live their lives and love their children and continue with their career and enjoy, you know, more birthdays and more time with their grandchildren and all. I mean, that's really, you know, what you're making possible, and we're deeply grateful for that. So with that, I'm going to introduce part of our whole assault on breast cancer, which is Dr. Kelvin Lee, who's the director of the Melvin and Bryn Simon Comprehensive Cancer Center. And he's a world's authority on cancer immunotherapy. So, Dr. Lee.
Thank you very much. I hardly say that I'm a world authority, but thank you for the compliment. I have to say that it's wonderful being here. I'm getting my annual infusion of pink and spring, and I think this is a wonderful occasion. It's wonderful working with the Vera Bradley team. I am the newest member of the Cancer Center effort. I came from Roswell Park in Buffalo, New York, a year ago, and I thought I was moving to someplace sunny and warm, and 2 days ago it's blizzarding out our front door. But I think that I have this wonderful perspective of a great relationship between the Cancer Center, our cancer researchers, and the Vera Bradley Foundation. It's very evident that it's not just, all right, we are, you know, hanging out together and we want to tackle this disease. This is really a team effort that everybody is very much involved in it, from the great support. And it's not only financial support, it's not only money to support research that other places aren't going to do. The government isn't going to fund it. It's too risky, it's too dangerous, and it's maybe too innovative. And it's not something that anybody wants to do. Who wants a wonderful floral pattern on their luggage? No, we don't want to do that. This funding, this effort from the Vera Bradley is so important to get our research going and do the exciting, innovative things that we do. I was just talking to somebody a little bit earlier today saying, you know, I've been working in immunotherapy for 20 years, and we have been out in the wilderness going, we think that the immune system can really fundamentally impact patients with cancer. We think it can cure things. Everybody would say, no, that'll never work. So there is a small group that has been dedicated and devoted to working on this. And then all of a sudden it hits. And all of a sudden immunotherapy is an overnight success. And it's not. There have been people working in it, supported by wonderful foundations like Vera Bradley, that have been really working away at this to make those seminal discoveries as we move forward. I think that it is really a wonderful team of researchers that has been established down at IU that is doing really fundamental, groundbreaking research in that area. And I think that we really are now moving into that next phase. We've now made those seminal discoveries of how the immune system can attack cancers in humans. How can we harness the immune system to not only reduce the burden of cancer, but actually cure people? It really has moved forward in an area that now allows us to think about things that we've never done before, including actually making synthetic immune systems that don't exist in nature, but with the innovation and the genius of people that have been working in that area, now we can actually do things that nature can't do. And we can actually push that immune system even farther. And this gift is fundamental in supporting that research, and we're very excited to move that forward. Part of that is actually our recruitment of Dr. Matt Opricall, who is the newest, let me get his title correct. He is the Vera Bradley Foundation Scholar in Breast Cancer Discovery, and Matt is leading our early phase clinical trial efforts in immunotherapy to get our science into our patients. I would like to say that we believe that research cures cancer, and we also believe that philanthropy accelerates research, and it does more than that. I always tell our researchers that research is hard. Taking care of cancer patients is hard. You have way more failures than you have successes. And it is very discouraging individually to do this because you have more failures than successes. But what really supports us, what really buttresses us, is seeing all the people that are behind us, that are raising money, pennies, nickels, dollars, more than that, raising money for people they don't even know. And I tell our researchers, go out there and you'll see people that don't know you from Adam, but they so very much believe in your mission that they're going out and they're spending their time and their effort and their weekends. They're bringing their family members in to help support you. And that is such an amazing source of support for those of us who do this. So we'd like to thank the Vera Bradley Foundation and this wonderful team for that support. It really means the world to us. And so what I want to say is that this monumental gift will really propel us into the future and will really help our patients. And I would like to introduce one of the people that I think that I know that the Vera Bradley gift has actually, in monogram medicine, has helped immensely. And we hope to see an entire army of Jenny Browns in the future standing up here touting their successes. Jenny.
Oh boy, this is very humbling. It's such a gift to be here with you today, a true gift. I mean, it's April 2022. It's 3 years almost after that day that my oncologist walked into the exam room where I was sitting waiting for the results of my latest exam. And she held my hand and she told me that the cancer was back, and it was just 6 months after I had finished treatment for my first recurrence. So she explained that the cancer had spread and that there weren't any more treatment options for me. I was battling an incredibly aggressive form of breast cancer. It was inflammatory, triple negative breast cancer, and it was just this beast that kept coming back, fiercer each time it seemed like. And she estimated that I had about 12 to 18 months to live. So I was 46 years old. I started saying my goodbyes, getting things in order, writing letters, assembling very flattering photos of myself, of course. And I started connecting with long-lost friends, having those overdue conversations. I didn't expect to survive 2020. But when I learned that I qualified for a phase 1 clinical trial, I was so grateful just to have some kind of action. I'd be one of just 18 patients that were fortunate enough to be being treated at the IU Simon Cancer Center in the hands of the best oncology team in the whole nation. Being supported by the most innovative and persistent medical scientists and funded by people who are so persistent and committed to fighting this disease. And this is all happening here in Indiana. I mean, just what luck to be a Hoosier, at this time with this exact terrible disease, at this exact time that this amazing clinical trial was available to me and that there was a spot in there for me. all because of decades of work that had already happened. And I was also realistic, cautiously optimistic. It was a phase 1 trial, a risky first-in-human drug combination. But at some point, I made the decision that if I was going down, some good was going to come from it. And even then, I knew that this Hail Mary treatment option was only available to me because so many people before me had said yes to tissue donation and clinical trials. People who were healthy, people who weren't healthy, people who had been touched by cancer, people who hadn't, people I didn't even know, like you said. And to everyone's surprise, it worked out for me. It was a total response, really, after one very brutal infusion, but I stayed with it for about 9 months. I was so terrified to come off of that trial until Dr. Miller was finally like, you can't, like, you gotta stop. We've got to get on with life. But the whack-a-mole trial has given me years of life beyond my prognosis, and it's been a very terrific few years. I'm grateful for those extra moments that I get with my kids and my husband and my friends and my family. But these are moments that I thought I could take for granted at my age. So I'm also scared, knowing that everything could change after my next doctor's appointment. But I've had 2 really great years of doing whatever I want because I thought I was dying. And no one diets when they're dying. No one volunteers for, school committees or, feels guilty about leaving laundry or dishes, because they want to go have lunch with their friend, or they want to go take a hike, literally, or, pack up the car spontaneously to drive to the Grand Canyon because, the call was so strong that day. But these extra years and these extra time have also given me really great new memories that I probably wouldn't have had without having this disease. I'll joke with my friends, you have to come on this trip with me. It could be my last summer. And so, I get to decide. We go off on these great bucket list trips, But I've been so open about my diagnosis and my prognosis that I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis now because I've been off all cancer treatment for 2 years. I don't even know what that means. Am I still dying? Am I still a cancer patient? Or should I consider myself well and get on with real adulting? And I don't know. It's a tough decision. But the reality is that I'm living on the edge. And it's not in the way that my, glamorous teenage mind imagined living on the edge. This is the edge of life and death, where the progression of a terminal illness meets the scientific advancements of medical research. I'm hopeful for the chance to see what's next for me, for my daughters, for my friends who've been recently diagnosed, for women I don't even know who are in the fight for their lives. But we do have the privilege of hope for a future because of the extraordinary commitment and the very generous financial support that IU School of Medicine, that the IU Simon Cancer Center receives from Vera Bradley Foundation. It's really just humbling, and I can't thank you enough. This research has literally saved my life. So thank you.
Well, if anyone needed to see what our why is in human form, right here. That's exactly adorable, absolutely adorable. But that is exactly why we are so passionate about research. Because Dr. Lee, we believe you. We believe our whole team. Research is what is saving lives. And not only saving lives, but changing lives. And so we don't want women to just survive. We want them to thrive. And that's exactly what the impact of the research you're doing is, we believe, that's for sure. And so now we're going to take a couple of minutes for question and answers, if anyone has any. Dr. Lee, Dr. Oberkal, and Dean Hess, can you come up here? And if anyone has a question for anyone specifically, you can ask. And then
I don't think Jenny wants to do the adulting thing, though. She sounded a little hesitant about going back to the adulting thing.
we give you a total pass on that. Total pass on that. So if anyone has any questions, now's the time we can take the questions. And if not, this amazing group of people right here will be available to take individual questions for a little while.
Can you just have one of them talk about how many people are involved and the kind of scope of what's going on down there with the scholars and all of that?
So the entire Cancer Center effort, and it is really a team effort because what we learn in one area, we apply to all the other, all the other cancers. But the entire Cancer Center effort has 300 researchers there, so 300 people doing research. And in the Cancer Center, the Vera Bradley Foundation for Breast Cancer Research is its own research effort. It has labs, it has a support staff, it has a clinical trials office component, it has great researchers that we're actively recruiting into also. So there's a team that's dedicated to breast cancer. There's the larger team that's dedicated to cancer research and immunotherapy research, and then there are all the people that actually make it work. Our administrators, our clinical trial officers, everybody, our marketing folks who are here, everybody who actually makes the whole thing go together.
Did you want to add anything to that?
Well, after Jenny's story, I think it speaks for itself. No, I think the only thing I would say is that it's been an amazing partnership, and I do want to emphasize what a deliberate effort this has been. Carefully planning, each recruitment, building our capabilities in things like immunotherapy, and seeing how we can benefit from other programs like the Brown Center for Immunotherapy, so that it all, we insist on collaboration and being synergistic. And so this is a huge, there are hundreds of people involved in this effort within the center and beyond. So we're looking forward to moving ahead with this next stage in conquering breast cancer.
I wanted to mention one thing because I was talking, Mary Sloan is the reason, she's the one who brought this disease to our attention. I didn't know anyone who had breast cancer or anything, and then she did not survive. She had lost her grandmother and her mother to breast cancer and has 2 daughters who are now in their 50s doing great. But I was talking to them the other day and telling them about this, and I said, you might have lost your mother, but losing her really saved lives. And they're great. They're coming up to the next classic too. So, we have so many things to be thankful for. And Mary would be alive today, I'm convinced, if she'd, this was 28 years ago. So this team is just incredible. We haven't heard from you. Get up here. Yeah.
Wait, tell them where we stole you from.
So I am the new arrival to the team, so I'll be standing on the shoulders of many people and many wonderful researchers that came before me. And I think it was said so eloquently that we hope that this 12 million chances to make Jenny's stories a common occurrence rather than something that we hear as one-off. So we're going to be working very hard to make sure that we're worthy of the effort and the gift that you guys have said, and to make this a reality for so many more women.
Well, as I mentioned, this group will be here if any of you have any individual questions that you'd like to ask. In the meantime, please enjoy some refreshments, and we invite everyone to go to our website, verabradley.org. Yeah, I've only been doing this for 28 years, so please forgive me. And then we also have a QR code that we would love if you would share. It's a direct way to donate if you just scan the QR code. And I just want to, again, thank our amazing team. Jenny, thank you. Totally inspired by your story. And thank you all for coming, and thank you so much for your support of the foundation.